Well, let's start your sport with some African football news. And the draw for the 2014 African Nations Championship has landed host South Africa in the toughest group. Bafana will be up against current AFCON champions Nigeria. And after missing out on Brazil, they are desperate not to disappoint fans on home ground. CCTV Celestine Carone has more.
Africa's home champions. That is the theme for the 2014 African Nations Championships in South Africa. Celebrating players who feature in domestic leagues across the continent. On Wednesday, the 16 countries competing found out just how difficult reaching the final could be. South Africa are pitted against Mozambique, Nigeria and Mali. Group B will feature Zimbabwe, Morocco, Burkina Faso and Uganda. Ghana, Congo, Brazzaville, Ethiopia and Libya are in Group C, while 2009 champions Democratic Republic of Congo are in Group D with Mauritania, Burundi and Gabon.
Well, as a South African, I'm not sure whether I can comment, but I can say that I hope Bafana will go through the hurdle and they'll be in the final in Cape Town Stadium.
The group isn't bad, especially since our team has played the DRC a number of times. We beat some strong teams going into the competition because we put in a lot of effort and we hope to do well.
We didn't expect this. I think it's tough for everybody. If you look at the draw from Group A, Group B, Group C, all tough, not easy. But yeah, I think we got the draw. We know exactly what to expect. So I think it's for us now to go out and prepare and be ready for this tournament.
Cape Town, Bloemfontein and Polokwane are the host cities, and some countries already feel like they will be home away from home. The Democratic Republic of Congo, Zimbabwe and Ghana are the only teams to have competed in all CHAN competitions to this point. And while they carry a certain pedigree to the 2014 edition, CHAN has so far proved that it can be anybody's game. Celestine Carone, CCTV in Cairo, Egypt.
Well, the Rio Olympic Games may be 3 years away, but for most of the athletes hoping to compete there, the preparation work has already begun. That's certainly the case for South Africa's up-and-coming BMX riders who are taking part in the country's national championships this weekend. And as CCTV's Dan Williams reports, the competition will be fierce, as riders know national glory can greatly boost their Olympic ambitions.
It may not look like much, but this is where South Africa's BMX riders will be looking to take a step towards Rio 2016. This track in southern Johannesburg is the venue for the season finale to the country's national championships. Leading the pack is this man, Carl Dodd. Although Rio 2016 is 3 years away, the Games are already his main focus.
It's been a goal of mine since BMX became part of Olympics in 2008, so training's already started from last year. I've given a 4-year gap to try and make the Olympics, and myself and my coach have been working and still going to carry on working until 2016 comes around.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
BMX racing may have a youthful image, but that's starting to change, thanks largely to the prestige of that Olympic spot. The riders want to follow in the footsteps of Sifiso and Schlapo, South Africa's top international competitor who has twice represented the country at the Games.
He's made the way for us. We're going to follow in his footsteps because he's one of our heroes. Well, he's our hero. He went to Olympics. I'm very proud of him.
Godfrey Braziba has had a taste of international competition after travelling to Manchester for the World Championships. His focus now is on improving his performances so that he can get his name in the frame for Rio 2016.
My grand goal is 2016 Olympics. That's my biggest goal. That's what I think about day and night, every time I train, every time I get on my BMX.
Despite its Olympic status, BMX racing is still cycling's poor relation. But those here hope that with medals up for grabs, sponsors will decide to get on board and spread the sport, especially into the poorer areas.
It gives all the young guys something to do. Everyone always talks about getting the youngsters off the streets, and yeah, it will do that. But it will also add to the sport. And a lot of guys are talented. Maybe some of the next Olympians are there, but they don't know it yet.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
In the meantime, there's national pride to play for. Rio may be a distant thought for many, but for this lot, the competition to get there is already well underway. Dan Williams, CCTV, Johannesburg.
Well, let's return now briefly to Cairo, and for more details on the African Nations Championships final draw, we're joined by CCTV Celestine Karone, who's live in the Egyptian capital, Cairo. Celeste, we now know that the group stages, do we have a group of death?
Well, Beatrice, unfortunately, the group of death, as we like to call the toughest group in any draw in football, goes to the host nation, South Africa. That is Group A. South Africa are going to face Mozambique, Nigeria, and Mali. Now, while these teams, all of them are more or less, you would say, at par with each other, what you're looking at is you have two nations from West Africa, Nigeria and Mali, who have football pedigree. This may be a tournament exclusively for players who play at home, but these two countries have already shown time and again that they can produce some of the world's best footballers. And where do these footballers come from? They come from the system which is in the domestic league many a times. So this is a group that people will be watching keenly. Of course, the organizers would have preferred to avoid this such a difficult group, because they feel that the longer South Africa stays in a competition, well, the longer the interest among the local people in the competition. But then again, it is football, and South Africa reached the quarterfinals the last time they competed in 2011, so it is expected that indeed they can do well. All the other groups, Beatrice, like coaches here were telling us today, there is no really easy group, and they're saying that for these 16 teams, all of them reach this stage by qualifying through a difficult process, and so all of them say they deserve to be here, and they can, of course, prove their worth. Remember, there will be a new champion because Tunisia, the defending champions, were knocked out by Morocco in the qualifiers, Beatrice.
Well, Celestine, South Africa, though, the draw has landed South Africa in the toughest group there, but South Africa will be hosting the competition a year after the 2013 AFCON. What do the organizers feel they need to improve on it in the CHAN competition?
Well, Beatrice, the organizers, and most of them were here today, including the local organizing committee chairman, Mr. Mvuzo Mbebe, and he told CCTV that they feel, while they were organizing for the 2013 Africa Cup of Nations, they did so with the 2014 African Nations Championships in mind. Now, but they say they felt that the ticketing system at the AFCON 2013 let them down, and that is one area they look to improve on a lot, because this is a tournament that might not sell itself as much as AFCON does. So filling those stadia for Cape Town, Polokwane and Bloemfontein, who are the host cities, will be crucial for the organizers. And many a times football tournaments are, whether they succeed or fail, are usually looked at in terms of the number of fans who can troop to the stadium. So this is one thing that they feel that they need to improve on and work on, especially in terms of marketing as early as next month, and sort of start getting the people excited about this competition way months to come. And of course, because they also said that they're looking at a situation where the logistics in terms of moving from one city to another, because the cities are very far apart, when you look at the host cities of this competition, that is another thing they feel that they need to really work on. But they say they will roll out the same red carpet that they did for the Africa Cup of Nations, despite the fact that CHAN is considered sort of a second-tier competition.
All right, Celeste, it is though a tournament specifically for locally based players. Why are foreign-based players excluded in this competition?
Well, Beatrice, there was a discussion, rather, when the FIFA draw was done this week, and Africa said they have the largest block of countries in FIFA, yet they only get 5 slots. Now, what does this show? This shows that FIFA consider us, rather Africa, to be not that developed in football. So CAF came up with this idea of boosting players who play in the domestic league by giving them a chance to compete competitively and get that experience, match experience. Now, this is why this came up, so that Africa can develop its football. Excluding the foreign-based players, they feel that these players already get as much in terms of experience and skill development in whichever clubs they play for, be it outside Africa or within the continent. And so they felt that the domestic-based players, Africa needs to boost its national leagues to rise to certain standards, and by that then generally it will uplift the game of football in the continent. And today this competition is entering its 3rd edition, and the Secretary General at the draw today said that they feel it is growing, the competition is drawing interest from countries, and with more countries signing up for qualifiers, and they feel that it is actually working to an advantage. I mean, you're seeing a country like Burundi, who have never played in any major continental competition, competing at the CHAN, and this is exactly what CAF are looking at as in terms of the success of this competition, Beatrice.
All right, Celestine Carone there joining us live from Cairo. Thank you very much for your updates. Let's stay with some football news for the moment now. From tragedy to triumph, 19 years later. In 1993, a plane crashed on its way to Senegal, killing Zambia's football team. They were headed to Dakar for the FIFA World Cup qualifier against Senegal. But Chipolo Polo managed to reclaim their lost glory by winning the 2012 African Cup of Nations at the same place where they lost their fellow brothers.
On the 17th of April 1993, tragedy struck off the coast of Gabon.
Those 18 gallant Zambian players, one journalist, their bodies scattered in pieces when the Zambia Air Force Buffalo plane crashed into the sea.
But today, Zambians are as fanatic about football as ever.
Soccer in Zambia is part of our culture and our tradition.
When we are watching the soccer match, we are united as Zambians. We have that same spirit.
It brings all the 73 tribes we have in the country together.
The tragic loss of their team inspired Zambians to continue their legacy, and it's something they take very seriously.
When the Zambian player, footballer, wears that green jersey with the eagle here, he stops to be a human being. He is told, conquer or die.
As fate would have it, Chipolo Polo won the African Cup of Nations last year in the same place they lost their national team, Gabon. Their coach puts the victory down to an unbreakable spirit.
You know, you get success when you have a very good skilled player and when there is a fantastic team spirit.
That spirit is instilled in aspiring footballers from a young age. In the capital, Lusaka, a newly built football academy trains boys and girls who, from the first day they can walk, start kicking a ball. Today, it's a big business. The government has invested in massive stadiums across the country, which it hopes will boost Zambia's football prowess and keep the national spirit alive.
We have a league here in Lusaka for the under-10, under-12 boys. So every weekend, Saturday, Sunday, they normally meet here to play their games. We made a program, so that even our national team coach, we normally passes here to see the program for these boys.
The future of the country's football is in the hands of the Football Association of Zambia. Over the last 4 years, it's gone from a loss-making institution into a highly profitable business, raking in millions of dollars from ticket sales and merchandise. Having won the African Cup of Nations, Zambia's team is now looking to scale even greater heights.
I think our collective target is to go to the World Cup 2014. And I'm sure if we are going to the World Cup, a lot of them will go to Europe to play.
I'll still support Zambian football. I'm proud of being Zambian, actually.
We are one Zambia, one nation.
All right, that is it for this edition of Africa Live. Remember, you can stay in touch with Africa Live on Twitter using the handle @CCTV News Africa. You can also visit our Facebook page, CCTV News Africa. Thanks for watching. I'm Beatrice Marshall in Nairobi. Up next, the World News Update from Beijing. Bye-bye.